Welcome along to King Power Stadium for the third round of the Carabao Cup. Welsh side Newport County are the visitors this evening as Leicester City look to make it into the fourth round and the last 16 of the competition. John Dunn is our commentator this evening and he has all of tonight's team news.
Good evening, Dan. Plenty of team news. Let's start with the Foxy. 7 changes following the 2-0 win at Everton at the weekend. It means only Woutfast, James, Justin, Buba Samari and Harvey Barnes remain in the starting 11. Good news is that Jonny Evans is back from injury. He starts, as does Wilfred Ndidi, his first start for over a month. So Daniel Everson is back in goal as he was at Stockport for the previous round. It's a home debut for him. A defence of James Justin, Jonny Evans, Woutfast and Luke Thomas. In the midfield, it's Dennis Pratt, Wilfred Ndidi and Buba Samari, with Jose Perez and Harvey Barnes supporting Jamie Vardy in attack. The Leicester subs, Alex Smithies, Yuri Tillemans, Mark Albright and Kelechi Iheanacho, Daniel Amate, Patson Daka, Yannick Vestergaard, Papi Mendy and Sammy Braybrook. Our opponents tonight, Newport, were in FA Cup action at the weekend. They beat Colchester 2-0. They make 4 changes. Joe Day, James Clark, Scott Bennett and Will Evans dropping out. In come Nick Townsend, Matt Dolan, Lewis Collins and Aaron Lewis. 2 of the Newport starting 11 began the FA Cup tie in 2019 when Newport were victorious against Leicester. Newport lining up then with Townsend in goal, the defence of Norman, Demetriou, Farquharson and Lewis. It's Mora Welsh, Waite and Dolan in midfield, Bogle, Lewis and Collins up front. And their subs are Day, Brown, Bennett, Zimba, Nevers, Lindsay, Bright, Evans and Caradogan.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, we'll hear from you again just before kick-off. We've got to introduce our guests, though, this evening. I'll start with the man on Zoom on that screen behind me, Tony Cotty. Good evening to you. How are you this evening?
Good evening, Dan. Good evening, Matt. And I can hear you loud and clear. You'd be pleased to know tonight, Dan, after last night.
Yes, makes a change, doesn't it? And good evening to you, Matt.
Evening, Batesy.
Curry, wasn't it, that you had for your dinner this evening?
Yeah, I'm saving a little bit for later. The spell on my shirt. Not a good move. Schoolboy error. But we'll carry on regardless.
Quick word on the team news before we take a look at what's to come on Matchday Live. Are you surprised?
No, not really. I think there's one or two areas where you know there's an element of surprise, but there was always going to be, wasn't there? You know, you weren't entirely sure. Maybe Brendan Rodgers wasn't entirely sure. Might have taken a little while to produce his final starting 11. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit dangerous, risky if you're going to look to change the whole 11. I think he's done it about right. They've got a bit of balance, hasn't he, between players that are playing regular and others who are champing at the bit. You would like to think. I think maybe quite a few people expected Iheanacho to be in that starting lineup, possibly, but it looks strong enough, doesn't it? You know, on the face of it, it looks like he's got the choice at just about right, and he'll know better than us anyway. He sees the players day to day, who's ready and who's not. But yeah, listen, without being overconfident or flippant, there's enough in the ranks there, isn't there, to get the job done?
Yeah, we're just under an hour away from kick-off. If you still fancy coming along to King Power Stadium and you haven't got a ticket, you can do so, of course, this evening to see Leicester in action for the final time at home before the World Cup, of course. We've got plenty of stuff to get through here on Matchday Live as we build up to kick-off. We're going to look back at that brilliant win at Everton, including that fantastic Yuri Tillemans volley. We'll also take a look back at what happened in the last round. Daniel Everson, the goalkeeper this evening, was the hero that evening, wasn't he? Absolutely fantastic. He was saving those penalties. And we'll also hear from Luke Thomas as well. The Foxes left back this evening was speaking at Seagrave ahead of this game with Newport County. Tony, same question to you really that I just asked Matt about the team news. Are you surprised in any way? It's fairly strong, isn't it? From Brendan Rodgers, certainly stronger than it was in the last round against Stockport County.
Yeah, I think we touched on it, Dan. It's about getting the balance right, isn't it? You know, I'm not a great lover of wholesale changes. In other words, 10 or 11 changes. I think it's asking a little bit too much to expect players to play as a team. I know we're in the era of a squad rotation now. I understand all that, but yeah, I think he's just about got the balance right. You know, you kept some strong players in there, and he got 2 of the back 4 as an example there, which is always, I think, important. You know, to been so good defensively now, hasn't it? Great to see Jonny Evans back as well. Wilfred Ndidi, another one who's been on the substitutes bench, and he needs minutes as well. Always lovely to see Jamie Vardy up front as well. So yeah, I think on reflection, Dan, it's a really good mixture.
Yeah, let's talk about Johnny Evans quickly, Tony. Obviously, that is a big bonus for the Foxes, isn't it? Seeing their captain returning and back in the starting 11.
Well, yeah, I think we all want him back, don't we? And I suppose there's an argument with a massive game obviously coming up at the weekend at West Ham from Leicester's point of view, and I don't know whether Johnny's going to walk straight back into the defence. It's been so strong. It probably a bit unfair on Dan Amartey if he was to sort of be left out for Johnny straight away, but he's a big player for Leicester. We know that over the last couple of seasons, 3 seasons, he's been a really, really big player for the club. A fit Johnny Evans, I think we probably all accept would be in that defence, but he's got to prove his fitness. So he'll be ready to go tonight. He'll have missed playing football, and when you're injured, there's nothing worse than being injured, and you just want to get back in the team and show everyone that you can still play. Just quickly, do you think it depends on what happens tonight, whether or not Johnny Evans returns to the Premier League fold at the weekend?
Yeah, I think tonight will have an influence on it. It might be sort of preordained, really, in terms of how many minutes he gets. I mean, it will,
60 minutes an hour.
Yeah, I think if he plays 60, then he's likely to start. And if Brendan's of the mentality of Johnny playing the whole game, then it's how he reacts to that, because been out a little while. He's not getting any younger, Johnny, and to play 90 minutes after a period on the sidelines, you can feel a little bit stiff and creaky a few days later even, but they're pretty finely tuned, aren't they? And Johnny looks after himself as well as any other player, but it would be see how he goes tonight. But I think you wouldn't have thought you'd find yourself sort of umming and ahhing over whether Johnny Evans would play instead of Daniel Amartey or not at the weekend in a Premier League fixture, but such has been the way that Leicester have been solid, and Amartey's been a big part of that. You can't get away from that fact. So, a little decision for Brendan Rodgers to make, whichever way it goes. I think Johnny would just get the nod with everything being fine and dandy.
Yep, the reason that there have been ums and ahs is because of Leicester's recent defensive record, back-to-back clean sheets away from home. Of course, the second of those was at Everton on Saturday evening, and it was a terrific away performance from the Foxes.
Welcome to Goodison Park. Everton and Leicester, the penultimate Premier League game for these two sides before they head into the upcoming World Cup break. The Foxes heading into the break on form, 1 loss in their last 4. Just over the halfway line, into space is Dewsbury Hall, threaded into Patson Daka, who shoots first time just inside the penalty area. Jordan Pickford diving to his left to make the save. It's a very positive start from the Foxes. Inside his own penalty area, Martin comfortably forward to Samari, who's been dispossessed. It's Calvert-Lewin up against Amartey. He's threaded through to Alex Iwobi, who should have scored. 7 yards out right side. It is narrowly wide of the far post into the penalty area, left-hand side, pulling it back to Daka. Shot block cleared by Cody. It's cleared to Tillemans on the edge of the box. Control shoot! That is unbelievable from Yuri Tillemans. The goals just get better from the Belgian midfielder. Iwobi to the right, a back heel from Gray, back to Iwobi again. Edge of the box, flicking one in for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, saved by the legs of Danny Ward. Brilliant save by Leicester's #1 goalkeeper. Castagna outside of his booting field to Maddison, lets the ball roll beyond McNeil, right side of the area. Maddison off the outside of the post and falls to safety. It would have been another classic Maddison goal. He feeds it to Maddison, down the left, Vardy and Barnes in the middle. Still Maddison, it's just behind Barnes. He's turned onto his left foot and he's given Leicester a second goal. And it's another stunner in this game. And it's Harvey Barnes on target once again. 3 goals in his last 4 Premier League games.
Well, it was a brilliant performance from Leicester away at Goodison Park on Saturday evening. Tony, how impressed were you with Brendan Rodgers and his side that night? Almost a perfect away performance.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree. I think it was the perfect away performance. I thought it'd be a really difficult game against Everton, who had a couple of decent results, running into that match. But Leicester absolutely dominated the game. The first clip we saw there was Leicester on the break, and then the shot saved by the keeper. It was a really, really good performance defensively, really, really solid. A really good save from Danny Ward at a crucial moment. And of course, going forward, in the midfield and even up front with Patson Daka, some really, really good performances. A really good, solid, fantastic away performance and a thoroughly deserved result as well. It wasn't a fluke 2-0, Dan. It was a really, really comfortable 2-0 in the end.
And it's 4 clean sheets in the last 5 games as well, Matt. The only goal that was conceded was that Kevin De Bruyne wonder strike here at King Power Stadium against Man City. So that's where the issues had been for Leicester defensively. It looks as if that's been shored up at the back.
Yeah, you can brush that one off as well, can't you, really? You're not going to castigate yourself too much for conceding that. Not too much anyone could do about it, other than conceding a foul initially. 5 clean sheets in 7, isn't it? I'll come back at you with that stat as we were bickering off air. But listen, it's unbelievable the turnaround, isn't it? And it just shows you as well that not being sort of clever in hindsight at all, but you have to look at things in a balanced view, don't you? Things weren't going well, and Leicester were conceding far too many goals. That's plain and obvious. But Brendan Rodgers, maintained that there wasn't too much wrong, and I think there have been a few adjustments that we've spoken about before, and introductions, Wout Faes in particular, without any shadow of a doubt, has made a difference. I don't think you can get away from that at all. But there have been a few tweaks and adjustments, and they've had a huge effect. But quite a significant effect, haven't they? With the fact that the amount of goals Leicester was conceding, and to be as adept as they are now at keeping those clean sheets of late, it's not to say they've found a solution definitely, and they're going to. That's it. It's clicked. They're guaranteed to not concede goals tonight. It doesn't work like that. You have to go from game to game. But it shows you there wasn't too much wrong. A few little tweaks, like I say. It wasn't catastrophically irredeemable, their position, etc. And Brendan Rodgers kept a level head, hasn't he? Kept a steady head, and that's filtered through to the players. Some of the supporters were getting very, very nervous, to say the least. Understandably so, I think. But look at the bigger picture in these situations. Things come round if you apply yourself, and you've got that genuine ability within the ranks anyway. And I didn't really have any fears that Leicester would get back on track. There's still work to be done, of course there is. Don't get complacent, but it just a few little adjustments have made a huge difference, and all of a sudden they look like their old selves and not so long ago. And then the confidence filters through. They've always been scoring goals anyway, but having said that, it's still remarkable how they've flipped it around on the set pieces, defending the set pieces, as I mentioned last night. It really, what an amazing turnaround there, to look so frail over a long period of time, and now with set piece coach Lars coming in, his surname I always forget.
Knudsen.
Apologies, Lars. Without that, he's had an input and an impact, hasn't he? And it's shored right up.
It's all well and good keeping clean sheets, Tony, but you've got to put the ball in the back of the net as well at the other end of the pitch. Yuri Tielemans is doing that in style at the moment, isn't he?
Absolutely fantastic. He's finishing at the moment. It's just brilliant. You just get excited when the ball comes anywhere near him. When I watched the highlights back on this, I didn't realise that it was actually Yuri who started the move, and you can see he's just advanced there towards the edge of the box. He's 22, 23 yards out on the angle. It's up there in his top sort of 3 goals in my opinion. He's scored some fantastic goals for Leicester as well, hasn't he? Let's be honest, there've been some absolute crackers. And when it comes to him, just don't panic. It sort of played to him. It bounces in front of him. Most players panic. What do I do? And a lot of players, I think the first touch lets them down. It doesn't set them ready for the ball, but he's almost expecting it, which is half the key. He comes off James Maddison, and he just nudges it and moves it to the right as well. You sit from this angle, watch, just move it to the right, kick through it, and he's actually aiming to dip it. The ball goes up, and probably see it perfectly here. It goes up over the crossbar, dips down, And it is a phenomenal finish. It really is. The skill is unbelievable. But I just think, I'm sure Matt will agree, you just expect him to do it. When it goes, if it had been any of the other players in the team, you probably would have gone, wow, what an unbelievable goal. But with Yuri, you almost go, well, it's Yuri, isn't it? You know he's going to do that. And that's the biggest compliment I can pay him. He's finishing, particularly outside the box, he's getting, in my opinion, he's getting to that stage where you talk about finishes from outside the box, you think maybe David Beckham on free kicks, you think maybe Paul Scholes in terms of striking the ball outside the box. But the way he's going, Tielemans, he's going to be right up there with those two legendary names.
Yeah, it was an assist for James Maddison, obviously really all about the Tielemans goal itself there, but there was another assist which was actually all about James Maddison. Later on in the game, Tony wasn't there to set up Harvey Barnes to put the game beyond all doubt.
Yeah, and James had a fantastic game, didn't he? Possibly one of his best games as a Leicester player. But you can see him here, like it's just Harvey Barnes plays it to James. He runs with the ball. The defenders, they're not catching him. Quick defenders chasing him down. Lovely ball to Harvey Barnes. And he's still got an awful lot to do. He takes 3 touches to get the ball into the position where he wants it to be. Excuse me, and it's a really good strike. It does get a slight deflection, which helps it, but again, it's such a good team goal. Nice easy pass from Tielemans. Harvey nudges it round. I think in a way he almost was going to go and get it, but he realises it's going to his teammate. The ball's played to him. It's behind him, and again, that most vital thing is that first touch. And you watch when Harvey takes that first touch. It's a lovely little cushion first touch. There it is. Sets himself up. All right, he's got to manipulate the ball, move it a little bit. But it's a brilliant first touch. There's the second one. There's the third. A slight deflection coming up. But I reckon there's a good chance that would have gone past Jordan Pickford anyway. And that sealed the game for Leicester. They could have had 3 or 4 on the night. It was a fantastic performance.
Yep, 2 fantastic goals at Goodison Park in a pretty perfect away performance. Let's hear from Brendan Rodgers and his assessment of the 3 points.
Congratulations, I imagine that was a very pleasing evening. How do you review the performance tonight?
Yeah, I thought we were outstanding tonight from the first whistle. Really aggressive in the game, pressed the game well, and I thought with and without the ball we were very good, resilient in our defending. Actually didn't give away too many clear-cut opportunities. We had one in the beginning where we started really well, and then we gave the ball away. But apart from that, we didn't give too much away. So defensively, I was really pleased with the pressing and how we coordinated the pressure. And then with the ball, to come to Goodison and control the game like that for large spells, it takes a lot of courage and bravery from the players in a really hostile environment. And I thought they were magnificent in dealing with that.
That first half in particular, so much control of the ball, creating chances. Was it getting towards half time and you're thinking the only frustration is we haven't scored yet?
Yeah, we needed to show more quality. Sometimes we're a bit unlucky, key slipped sometimes, and we arrived in the box and we didn't make the right pass. But we were there, which was important, and creative and aggressive, and it was a pleasing performance, and obviously Yuri's goal was absolutely outstanding.
I'll get on to that. It is firework night. We've tried to avoid the puns all night, but it was a banger, a cracker, a firework. How do you try and describe that? That must be the best goal he scored, certainly for Leicester, if not his career. Just stunning.
Yeah, it was amazing. He must have it in his contract. He only scores worldies. So he's in that sort of run of form really, where he's shooting, his confidence is high, and he looks like he's going to get goals. So a brilliant player, and what a finish.
The quality and the confidence, particularly Tielemans starting to score again, Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, the confidence is just oozing through them, which is a joy to watch. Yeah,
and I think it's really nice to see players that, we were struggling at the beginning of the season, there's no doubt, but it's just work on the training field, keep the confidence of the players high, they have the belief in what we're doing, and then eventually we can get back to our level again. And to come here, it was a real good demonstration of the level that the players are at the moment.
Was the second half one of composure, of patience? Everton had a bit more of the ball, but never really threatened.
No, I think we controlled that side of it well. Did a little bit more possession, which you would expect. The home team wanted to come out, but I thought we were tight. We worked together, moved well together around the pitch, and then we also had other opportunities to score. Obviously, Harvey gets a brilliant goal. He's through. I think his legs probably gave up a wee bit, Matters was through. We had other opportunities, but no, I think on both aspects. First half we controlled the game well with the ball, scored the goal. Second half we were able to control it well without, but still looked a real threat.
I was going to say, it did look a threat. The way we were breaking was lightning fast, and probably could have got more goals.
Yeah, and should have done. So, but overall, you know, from Wardy, great. You know, they're a very strong team, a very big physical team, but we defended the corners well. He comes through, makes a lot of important contacts for us, and then, like I say, with the ball we were fast, we were aggressive, and looked a real threat.
Such a positive night, as I say, the 2 goals, that next clean sheet, the latest clean sheet, out fast, the back 4, Danny, as you mentioned, the confidence throughout the team, you could see it growing.
Yeah, I said before to the players, when you come to Goodison to get a result, you have to be brave. You have to be brave in your defending, and you have to be brave with the ball. And the supporters here tonight expect, when they look in, they want to come to a ground like this here, where they know it's a tough place to come. They want to have pride in their team, playing and defending with that quality and that mentality, and hopefully they go back down the road tonight really proud of having watched the team. One
more Premier League game before the break. Does that break almost come at the worst time now because of the form that certain players are in and the way the team are playing?
Not really. I think we all knew where it was at, but I think what we had an idea where we wanted to get to for the break. So the players are working very hard. It's a great performance tonight. Got 2 more games, one in the cup, want to get through, and then obviously the final game away at West Ham, and another away victory will give us even greater confidence to go there.
Just on that Newport game, how do you start to prepare for that one? What you thinking ahead of the game on Tuesday?
Yeah, we're back in tomorrow morning, so we have a look at them. Newport won today, so we'll have a look at them and pay the respect that they deserve. We'll do our work like we would do for a Premier League game, and then quick turnaround, and then we will go again.
And that quick turnaround, of course, has come round to this evening to face Newport County here at King Power Stadium. To get to this stage of the competition, Leicester had to beat another county. It was Stockport at Edgeley Park, and they did it the hard way on penalties, where Daniel Everton was the hero.
Leicester City, League Cup winners in 1964, in 1997 and in the year 2000. But in 2022, what does their League Cup campaign have in store? Iheanacho, Brighton again. Iheanacho lets the ball run through his legs towards the edge of the D. Good stuff, and Dennis Pratt is in here. Might be a chance. Cleared away off the 6-yard line.
Where did he shoot?
Well, Stockport County survived there. Come here for Connor Evans. And Stockport trying to move the ball well. This is Callum Camps who hits it and forces a smart save out of Daniel Everton. Good save from the Danish goalkeeper. He's not had too much to do, if anything, tonight so far. And here's Thomas now. Left-hand side, Barnes back to goal, gets the 1-2 from Iotse Perez. It comes out as far as Maddison. Good touch with his right. Maddison thinks about curling a shot. Maddison! Oh. And it's just wide of the right-hand post. Maddison. Now moved on for Tielemans, 25 yards out. He hits it, and it whizzes wide of the post. Flashes across the face of goal. Swerving in towards that far corner, but instead it's across the face and behind it goes. Goal kick. So it will be decided from 12 yards. And it's Yuri Tielemans. It's a short run up and hits it right-footed. And it's in front of those Leicester supporters and up against Everton. It's he saved it! Beautifully saved by Daniel Everton. Stockport's second penalty, honours a sub in regulation. And Everton saved again! It's Barnes for Leicester City, and it's saved, but into the top corner. The referee told them to stop, and they continue to do so. Here's Wootton, saved again by Everton. Deja vu. Here he comes, shuffled run up, Dewsbury Hall, off the post and in. And there's the win for Leicester. They win 3-1 on penalties.
Yep, a win on penalties in the last round then.
That was a good dual commentary there when it went Niall and Danny Simpson. He was loving it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Enjoying the penalty, certainly. It wasn't the best of 90 minutes, Tony, but it went straight to penalties and was entertaining. And Daniel Everton, we can see that the penalty saves, again, they were absolutely fantastic.
I think if you're a Newport player, I think you'll know which side not to put the penalties. And if it goes to penalties, I mean, all three that went the same way to the keeper's right. I mean, they're fantastic saves because they're not bad penalties, are they? Let's be honest. You know, they're hit with pace, and that one there particularly is going right inside the corner. Unbelievable saves. And then you would have thought, well, maybe I should go the other way. That one's not got quite as much pace on it, but certainly the second save. And it's still a really good, strong arm as well. But, credit to Daniel Everson. And, sometimes you need your sort of reserve goalkeeper to step up. Remember in our days, mine and Matt's days, we used to have Peggy Arfex said, Matt, didn't we, who stepped up in a penalty competition, I remember, doing really, really well. And sometimes you get those little stories that happen if you're on your way to Wembley.
Yeah, I remember Danny Ward in recent years as well, saving a number of penalties and shootouts as well.
Well, a lot of Leicester keepers have been successful, haven't they? Had a bit of joy in penalty shootouts. Kasper Schmeichel was as good as anyone. Danny Ward as well. And Daniel Everson. Long may it continue. Hopefully it won't be necessary tonight.
Hopefully not. But if it is, you look at the penalties that Leicester scored that evening. They were pretty good penalties as well, weren't they? Particularly the last one from
You did fancy Leicester. I mean, Leicester should have seen the game off earlier. They stuttered and stumbled a little bit, didn't they? And just they found a way through. But you did fancy them, regardless of Everson's heroics or not. The people who were on the pitch at the time, like I say, Tillerman's there, Harvey Barnes, decent finish to be fair. That one, Maddison took one, did he? I can't remember off the top of my head. I seem to remember him scoring. Or was Keenan popping one away? He was firing at that stage as well, wasn't he? You felt confident. Someone did miss, didn't they? Perez it was, wasn't it? Yeah. But I mean, if it did come to that stage, regardless, again, without being overconfident, you'd fancy Leicester to have that extra quality there. But you'd like to think they can get the job done prior to that event.
Hopefully. Let's take a closer look then at tonight's visitors, Newport County then. And Chris Kerwin from the South Wales Argus talks us through their danger men and the fact that they've obviously got a great record in cup competitions of being somewhat giant killers.
Actually, this season has let them down, that they've not quite been as good with the ball as they were last season, particularly under James Rowberry. They really pinged the ball around nicely. But they do have players that are comfortable on the ball, and I think that's key, isn't it? They'll need to hold on to the ball. You can't just invite pressure throughout. I think they'll look to hold on to it, but they will go direct and sort of stretch the game as well. Going to the channels, they have got some pace there. It's whether he goes with the selection of bringing a few of those players. They have got some lively players. Thierry Nevers is a West Ham loanee who's elusive. Lewis Collins came through the ranks. He's very quick. But it's whether they try and stay in it and then bring them on. Well, if he goes with a settled side, I guess it will be Omar Bogle's the goal threat at the top. He's plenty of experience in sort of the EFL, and James Waite has been playing well. He's a small attacking midfielder, but he's feisty. He'll sort of buzz around. So they're the main attacking threats. I think, to be honest, there's more to come from them in attack than they've been showing in recent weeks. But I think Cochran has been getting the basics right, as I said, and that'll come with time. Down the left, Adam Lewis is a Liverpool loanee. And he is good going forward, so we'll see what he can do, I guess.
They've been known, particularly in the last 5-6 seasons, Tony, of knocking teams out in different cup competitions. I think Rodney Parade is a big factor in that. Obviously tonight they don't have that home advantage, but as we all know, they knocked Leicester out, of course, of the FA Cup in the third round back in 2019. So they've certainly got history of doing so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if this was at Rodney Parade, then you certainly would have a few alarm bells ringing. I think the fact he's at the KP, it's all about attitude tonight, Dan. When you play in the earlier rounds of the League Cup or even the FA Cup, both competitions, if you get a team from lower league opposition, they're a League Two team, all right, they had a good result against Colchester in the FA Cup, so I'm sure they're going to be taking the game seriously. But if Leicester's attitude is right, if the team can gel, because obviously there's a few changes, they just need to gel pretty quickly. But there's enough quality in this Leicester team to not even worry too much about Newport. Yes, they might cause the occasional problem, but you have to concentrate. You have to get your attitude right. If you get the attitude right, in other words, you just got to be switched on. You've got to be focused as a professional footballer. And we're all been guilty of it through our careers, myself and Matt included, where sometimes you go out, you lose a bit of focus. Perhaps you think, oh, this is going to be an easy game. Oh, it's only Newport. If you've got that type of attitude, you can get in trouble. I don't expect Leicester to get in trouble, but it's all about what's up there tonight for Leicester. And I think if they concentrate, they should get the result.
Which is important when you play a lower league opposition. Yeah. We said the exact same thing when Leicester travelled to Stockport. Obviously different because it is at home tonight. But you look at the table, Newport will be disappointed with where they are. I think the beginning of the season they were looking maybe at a promotion potentially. They've changed their manager and they're in 18th. They have looked more solid though since changing manager.
Yeah, don't score too many. Don't concede too many either. But struggling. I think it's 1 win in 6 of their last league games. So things not going superbly well for them. But it's a different proposition, different occasion tonight, isn't it? It looks like they're going to play a back three. They'll probably be quite heavily guarded defensively. We'll expect pressure from Leicester. And look to soak it up. And those players that were mentioned there, in that clip, will hope to produce something out of perhaps nothing on one or more occasions, or set pieces, etc. Again, without being too derogatory, but you expect Leicester to have the majority of possession. It's what they can do with that, really. But they've got enough firepower on the pitch, haven't they? Without a doubt. So they don't want to make work hard for themselves. And like Tony said, it's all about focus, application. If they're professional about it, 19 times out of 20 they'll get the result. And I'm fully expecting that to be the case this evening. Particularly given, as you've said already, the quality that is in the 11. Yeah, exactly. It's not. There are a lot of changes, yes, but it's not drastic. Putting the kids in, as they say, or playing the reserves. Leicester do have a sort of two sides to their squad, you say, but there's a lot of players who can integrate in and out within the ranks and not affect the strength of the team. But albeit the starting 11, give or take 1 or 2 positions, pretty much takes care of itself. But these days, as is the case with a lot of Premier League clubs, there's quality throughout, and it's not like in our time you made 7, 8, 9, 10 changes, and a few of those boys were young rookies, teenagers coming through who perhaps hadn't played many games at all. But that's not the case in this instance, is it? So. Leicester have got no excuses and need to apply themselves properly, and it's in their benefit to do so individually as well. You don't want to be losing favour with the manager because of a sloppy individual / collective performance against lower level opposition. You're not doing yourself any good prospects whatsoever, are you? So they need to be on top of the game.
I think, Tony, there's over 1,000 Newport fans as well travelling. I guess the opening 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's about not letting Newport settle here away from home and just basically keeping the ball.
Yeah, I think in these sort of games, I think you just got to get on the front foot. I think if you have like one of those starts where you're tapping it about at the back and Newport can squeeze up, their fans can sing along for the first 10, 15 minutes and you don't have a single shot on target, then I think you make your own problems. I think I'm like to think that Leicester, from the kickoff, get amongst it. As Matt says, there's players in this team who've got points to prove. There's players that are playing tonight that want to be playing, that feel that they're good enough to be a regular in the team. The first team's playing well at the moment, so to get in is going to be difficult. But when you get your opportunity, you've got to show the manager what you want to do. So get on the front foot. As an individual and as a team, on the front foot, take the game to Newport, put them under pressure. They are a League Two team, so they will make mistakes. There's no doubt about that. But if you just have a really sloppy start, then the Newport can grow into it. And I guess I'm right in saying it goes straight to penalties. Is that right, Dan, tonight? Yeah. There's no extra time. So, I mean, that in a way works in the favour of these lower league teams. You know, in the old days when it went to extra time and they perhaps got a little bit tired, didn't always work for them. But, you know, from Newport's point of view, they'll be going, let's just defend, let's put 11 men behind the ball, try and hit Leicester on the break, and we'll take it to penalties and try our luck with it. That's what I thought would be the feeling in the Newport dressing room. But it's all about Leicester, on the front foot, early chances, get an early goal, and everyone can breathe easy.
As Tony's been talking there, we've been seeing some pictures of the Leicester players warming up. A lot of them seem to be wearing gloves, certainly Jamie Vardy, Jose Perez. Jerry, is it one of those evenings? Is it glove weather for you yet?
It's a beautiful footballing evening, Dan. No such thing as a pair of gloves when I played football. And, you know, once you get warmed up, you're out in the pitch, running around for a few minutes. You don't even feel the cold, so... But there you go.
Have you got them on in the press box, Jerry?
No.
Because you definitely do wear them there.
No, it's not cold enough. As I just said, it's a beautiful evening to play football. Perfect, right up my street, this. And it's not cold enough even for me to have my gloves on. So yeah, this will be right up my street, this, tonight.
And I assume it'll be right up the street of the Newport County players. They'll be relishing tonight, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a free hit, isn't it, for them? They've got no real great expectations. A win for these guys tonight, you know, is a major bonus. They have put out two teams that from higher leagues in the previous two rounds. Luton from the Championship, Portsmouth from League One. So they'll be, even though their league form is pretty average at the minute, I think in this competition they've proved that if you take a team like Newport lightly, then you know you pay the consequences. So just listening to Tony, it's all about the attitude tonight. It's absolutely spot on. Making sure that you're doing the basics well. When you receive the ball, don't give it away cheaply.
There's enough experience in there, Jerry, isn't there, in the Leicester 11?
Oh, without a doubt, it's a good, strong team, I have to say. I thought Brendan might have made a few more changes than he actually has. I think, is it 7 changes from the Everton game, if my memory is right? So yeah, I thought he might have made at least 3 or 4 more, to be honest with you. Or sorry, 3, that's the whole team, but at least 2 more.
Can't make 5, can you?
No, sorry. But yeah, I was thinking maybe 1 or 2 of the guys from Saturday would have might have started tonight, like the likes of a James Justin. But other than that, I thought that maybe there'd be more changes. So, you know, Brendan, as usual, not taking this competition and not taking Newport lightly whatsoever. And as I speak, the rain has just started, which makes it even better.
Yeah. Well, it's 7:20 now, Jerry. I'm sure you're no gloves this evening. Maybe at 10 o'clock you might have thought that was a bad idea. We'll see anyway. If you were watching, obviously, on our stream, you'll have seen the Leicester team at the very bottom of it a moment ago. Jerry said maybe he was expecting a few more changes from Saturday, but it's a very strong team that Brendan Rodgers has put out this evening. Let's get a quick recap of both sets of 11s. Danny Leverson, obviously the penalty hero in the last round, returns in goal. Luke Thomas, Johnny Evans returning from injury at the back alongside Wout Faes, with James Justin at right back. Wilfred Ndidi, Dennis Pratt, Bouba Samare in the midfield, with Barnes and Perez supporting Jamie Vardy, set to make his 400th Leicester appearance this evening. From a Newport County point of view, the visitors line up with Townsend in goal. The back three, we think of Dimitru, Farquharson and Lewis. Another Lewis as one of the wing backs, and with Norman. Then it's Dolan, Waite and Mariah Welsh as the midfield three. And Collins and Omar Bogle are the 2 strikers for Newport County. Let's hear from one of the Leicester City changes then. Luke Thomas, the left back for the Foxes this evening, sat down at Seagrave to preview this game against Newport. Luke, it's the next round, of course, of the Carabao Cup, and it's a home game at King Power Stadium against Newport County. What are you expecting in this one?
We know it's going to be a challenge. Obviously, there's going to be a physical battle with a League 2 side coming to us. It's never going to be an easy game, and it's about not getting complacent, really, playing our own game and hopefully playing to a good level, and hopefully we can win the game, get through to the next round.
It's the last home game as well before the World Cup break, the last chance for you guys to play in front of the supporters, the last chance for them to see you as well. That's got to add a bit of an incentive, hasn't it, for you as the players?
Yeah, of course, we want to go out on a high and obviously give the fans a good performance at home in the last game, because they're obviously not going to see us again for another 6 weeks. So hopefully tomorrow we can go out there and put on a performance for them.
Newport beat Leicester in the FA Cup back in 2019, that'll be early 2019. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was just before your time, obviously, in and around the first team, but they've got proof that they're a good side, and they're very capable of beating Premier League teams. Yeah,
definitely. I remember watching that game, actually. It was obviously at their place, which is a tough place to go. I think I've been there in the checker trade, but we know it's going to be a tough game. Like I say, it's about not getting complacent. We know that they're going to have set pieces and set plays. We've seen the throw-ins that they've got, the corners that they've got, and they've got big players. So we'll have to deal with that on the day, and hopefully we will and win the game.
It's clear, obviously, that then you've been looking at the dangers that they have. Obviously, they found themselves at 18th in League Two, but they had a good result against Portsmouth in the last round of this competition as well. So, as you said, you're not going to underestimate them.
They're going to be wanting to get through the next round. It will be history for them if they can come to our place and beat us. So we know they're going to be up for it. It's about whether we are, and we're going to go out. Hopefully, we can go out tomorrow and prove that.
Hopefully you can take some of the league form into this cup competition as well, particularly the home form, barring that Manchester City game had been pretty good and pretty free scoring at King Power Stadium.
Yeah, definitely. The past few weeks we've shown our real quality again, and got back into that mindset and playing good football at the moment and getting the results that we want. So hopefully we can continue that again tomorrow and again at the weekend and finish on a high.
Just in general, on a cup run, you've played in a major cup final at Wembley and won. So you've obviously got the taste for that. A lot of this group has the taste for that. I can imagine there is a real desire in the group to go as far as they can in every single cup competition that Leicester are in.
Yeah, there always is. That's to this day the best day of my life, the FA Cup final. So I know what it feels like, and it'd be great to go and do that again, and hopefully tomorrow we can start that.
That was Luke Thomas then speaking ahead of this game with Newport County, hoping to go on a cup run. Tony Cotty, you did a few of those in this competition with Leicester City, of course, and you know the feeling to go all the way.
Yeah, I think it's a great competition, Dan. What we third round at the moment, and I think if you can get through to this, the next game is the game back from the World Cup as well. If you can qualify, so that'd be the League Cup fourth round. And I think if you can get to win that fourth round, if you get the quarterfinals, then you start thinking, do you know what, this could be our year. But let's be honest, this Leicester squad, there's enough capabilities in this squad to go all the way to Wembley. You need a little bit of luck in the draw, of course you do. But, you know, there's some really good players. They're in a good run of form, Leicester. And, you know, just go out, get the result tonight, and then everyone can disappear on holiday or go to the World Cup, whatever they're doing, and then they can worry about the next round when they come back from their break.
Do you agree?
Yeah, pretty much. Why not? Leicester have been pretty close on a few occasions, haven't they, in recent seasons, in particular against Villa, where there's a little bit of a feeling that they let an opportunity slip there, but obviously they proved themselves in cup competitions in the FA Cup. So, you know, use that. That wasn't so long ago, was it? Similar group of players, etc. Why not? The opportunity's there, you know. Give it a go, and Brendan Rodgers, as usual, is certainly doing that. Just a quick mention on their centre half, Newport's lad Farquharson. I've got a mate of mine called Valentine Romeo Farquharson. I wonder if it's a relative. Painter and decorator from Birmingham. Wouldn't have had that. Otherwise known as Val.
I'm going to move very swiftly on from that, I think, Tony. Matt just channeling his inner Walshy there for the last minute of the show.
Just proving I've got a mate, that's all.
We'll get the quick predictions from you both for this evening before I hand over to the commentary team, starting with you.
Prediction?
Val's mate.
Val's mate's going to he's going to have a stinker, Val, tonight. So I'm going to go, I keep saying it, not being too complacent, but 3-0 Leicester.
Tony?
Oh, Matt's took my score, so I'll go a bit more conservative as a 2-0, but definitely a Leicester victory.
Perfect. Thank you very much to Tony and to Matt. We'll hear from those two again at half-time. Before we do that, though, we'll hand you over to our commentary team after a short little break. Jerry Taggart, we heard from him a little bit earlier, didn't we? Not so wrapped up warm just yet. He's alongside John Dunn for commentary of Leicester City's third round in the Carabao Cup here against Newport County.
Because memories never fade, no matter how long. We'll still remember the moments of excitement and the impressions of Thailand. Amazing Thailand, now even more amazing.
Lamiat is the belief that perfection lies within the details, where the finest ingredients deserve the finest craftsmanship. In every pursuit of perfection, there is passion and perseverance, where attention to detail inspires a masterpiece that's balanced and in harmony. This is the Lamiat philosophy, brewed into every drop of Chang beer. This is the taste of Thai perfection. Chang beer. We brew friendship.
Good evening, everyone. It's League Cup action returning to King Power Stadium as City take on League 2 Notts County here tonight. It was League 2 opposition and another county. This time it was Stockport in round 2, and it was a penalty shootout that was required to set up tonight's tie. City banging form, winning 3 of their last 4. Only the champions could beat City in recent weeks, and clean sheets in 5 of their last 7 games. The rain has descended upon a cold and breezy King Power Stadium this evening, but the League Cup game is upon us as we look back from some memorable moments of the last few campaigns. And for a League Cup tie, we've got to get a League Cup winner in for co-commentary. Jerry Taggart, we've dragged him in another game, fresh from being craned out of Goodison Park to the luxurious surrounding of the King Power Stadium press box, where we can spread out and we can sit back and hopefully enjoy Leicester making it through to the next round of this competition. But will be anything but easy, we would imagine, this evening.
Yeah, I think, as I said before, Newport, put 2 teams from higher leagues out in the previous 2 rounds, and Brendan Rodgers has given this tie the full respect it deserves. So I'm looking for a professional performance. It doesn't have to be spectacular, but all the onus is on Leicester City to take the game to Newport and get the game done and dusted, get themselves over the line and into the next round. There'll be clear favourites for tonight's game. They're in great form at the minute, so basically no excuses.
And in terms of the team selection, you talked about it with Dan, it's strong from Brendan Rodgers. And I suppose that foundation has been built in recent weeks. The defence, the 5 clean sheets. And Wout Vass stays in, so too does James Justin. Does that just underline, particularly for Vass, does that underline his importance to Leicester at the minute, that he stays in?
Well, you could have played Dan Amate, I suppose, with Johnny Evans. You could have played Vestergaard tonight alongside Johnny Evans. yeah, I suppose Brendan's. I suppose when you look at it, momentum is everything in football, and so is confidence. And so that's probably one of the reasons why Vass stays in, because Brendan will be wanting to secure, another clean sheet. One of two of those centre halves may well come off in the game. You would predict it would be Johnny Evans after a certain amount of time, but you never know, do you? But obviously Brendan is backing Walt Vass to help Leicester to another clean sheet, simple as that. So that's why he stays in the team, because I just said momentum is everything.
And he's having a chance for the first time in a while to see Vass alongside Johnny Evans, because Johnny's been out injured. Great for him and for Ndidi to come in this evening. A good chance to kind of build their fitness up. Obviously only one Premier League game before the break, but so important that Ndidi and Evans can be available for the weekend. Yeah,
that's right. It puts pressure on the players that are in the starting 11. And also it just bolsters your squad, bolsters your options as a manager, even though, as you say, there's only one game after tonight in the league. But it's an important game against West Ham, a very important game, another 6-pointer coming up. So, as I say, Brendan will want to go into that game with that momentum, still riding high, confidence high, and options going into that game as well in regards to team selection.
The other player who comes in tonight is Jamie Vardy. We talked about it on Saturday, him and Daka switching, but the main thing for Jamie Vardy tonight in the League Cup, it's where he made his Leicester debut all those years ago at Torquay. Tonight, appearance number 400. Only 10 other players have done that for Leicester City. That's a remarkable achievement for Jamie Vardy. Just another one of the remarkable achievements he's done since being a Leicester player.
Yeah, absolutely. Another milestone in his career as a Leicester City player. I don't know how many milestones he has, crossed, but there's been a few, probably too many than anybody can remember, and yet another, a history-making milestone for the amount of appearances he's made. And to be honest with you, they can go far and beyond what the 400 mark. He's still got 18 months or so left on his contract, and there's no reason, with the right management, which I think he's getting now, that we can't make I don't know, 70, 80 more.
The other thing tonight, looking at that team and the likes of Jose Perez, Luke Thomas, it's their chance to shine. Again, only the one more league game, but it's these opportunities they've got to take to remind Brendan Rodgers what they're all about. Luke Thomas played quite a bit at the start of the season, but that back four has settled, but he comes back in tonight. And Jose Perez, I think only maybe his first start of this campaign, maybe his second with the game at Stockport. So they've got to come in, they've got to impress, and they've got to take tonight's chance.
Yeah, that's right. They've got to be ready at any moment to step in. Yes, they haven't seen a lot of football minutes on the pitch, especially, as you said, from the start, but they've got to be ready to come in at any given time. Football has as we all know, a nasty habit of throwing up injuries, illness, and what have you. So these players have to be ready, come in, step up to the plate, and and produce the goods at any given moment. So it's an important game for these players like Perez and Luke Thomas. They need to give a good showing tonight.
And the opposition, Newport, similar to Leicester in a way, they've struggled a little bit towards the bottom end of the table. They've had a decent turn of form since changing manager, unbeaten I think in their last 4. They've kept a number of clean sheets as well. What will the final message be, do you think, in that changing room ready for tonight? Almost they can't lose. They want to impress on the big stage, over 1,000 fans backing them, and they'll want to push Leicester all the way.
Well, I think number one, he's not going to go into the game thinking that, telling his players that they can win it outright, but there'd be a sneaky feeling, an underlying meaning that, well, all right, we've put 2 teams from higher leagues out in the previous rounds. You've got 1,000 fans here tonight. Go out there and give them something to cheer about, or at least go home happy with a good performance. And then you never know, if you catch Leicester on a bad night, then we have an opportunity to take advantage like we did in the previous 2 rounds.
Of course, there is a little bit of history. January 2019, Leicester travelled to Newport and Newport pulled off the FA Cup shot. Only Johnny Evans, who starts tonight, started that game. There's 2 Newport players in the starting 11 for them that start tonight, that started that game back in Wales. And for those 2 in particular, Tags, that'll be in the back of their mind. They know they can do this.
Well, absolutely. You know, that's an experience that, you know, they can take with them throughout their careers. You know, putting out a Premier League team in the FA Cup. So, you know, it's a good experience to have. As I say, you know, the attitude tonight for me has got to be absolutely spot on from the players. If it is, I don't envisage any real problems. As you say, if they decide to have, you know, down tools a little bit or slip it back down into second gear instead of going through the gears, then it may well be a long night.
Just looking at the Leicester players in the tunnel, Johnny Evans will have the skipper's armband tonight. Towards the back end of the line was Harvey Barnes, another player in the top of his game at the minute. Another goal at the weekend at Everton to make it 3 in his last 4. That sealed the 3 points at Goodison Park. And as we mentioned, just one more Premier League game to go at West Ham at the weekend. And if the Foxes can go into that World Cup break with another 3 points, it would see them move into the enforced international break in a very strong league position from they were a few weeks ago. Players just gathering with the match officials. A number of the Newport substitutes starting to walk past both sets of players who are lining up at the head of the tunnel. They're making their way to the dugout. Big night for these Newport players. A number of youngsters amongst them. A chance to play in a Premier League setting. Few players who have represented Cardiff and Swansea have moved on to Newport, and here they come. It's League Cup action here at King Power Stadium as Leicester City and Newport County take to the field ahead of this 3rd round clash. City 3 times winners of this competition and have made it to the quarter-final stage, or better, in 4 of the past 5 campaigns. But there is history between these 2 sides. Newport pulling off a 3rd round FA Cup shock in January 2019, beating the Foxes in Wales, and have beaten Championship side Luton en route to this 3rd round League Cup tie that will take place on this Tuesday evening. 2 in 4 teams, City losing 1 of their last 5, keeping clean sheets in 5 of their last 7 games. Newport unbeaten in their last 5 and have kept clean sheets in 3 of their last 4 League and Cup games. In terms of the team news for the Foxes, 7 changes following the 2-0 win at Goodison Park in the Premier League on Saturday night. 4 players remain: Wout Faes, James Justin, Bouba Samore and Harvey Barnes. Good news that Johnny Evans returns from injury and is back in the Leicester 11. Wilfred Ndidi making his first start since the start of October, also recovering from injury. Daniel Everson is in goal for the Foxes. It's a home debut for the Leicester goalkeeper. A back 4 of Justin Evans, Faes and Thomas, Pratt and Ndidi and Samore in midfield, with Perez and Barnes up front, supporting Jamie Vardy, making his 400th Leicester City appearance. It's back-to-back cup games for Newport County. They beat Colchester in the FA Cup on Saturday, and that will set up a tie against Torquay or Derby in round 2. 4 changes to their 11 from the weekend: Joe Day, James Clark, Scott Bennett and Will Evans dropping out. In come Nick Townsend, Matt Dolan, Lewis Collins and Aaron Lewis. 2 of the Newport starting 11 started that FA Cup tie in 2019. Defender Mickey Dimitriou and midfielder Matt Dolan. For Newport then, Townsend in goal, Dimitriou, Farquharson and Lewis is a back 3, Norman and Adam Lewis as wing-backs, Mariah Welsh, Waite and Dolan in midfield, with Collins up front alongside their leading goal scorer. 7 goals for Omar Bogle. Those Newport fans over in the far corner trying to make themselves heard over the PA blasting out "When You're Smiling." Newport in green shirts have got into a huddle to the left of the halfway line, and the Leicester players lining up ready for kick-off, including Jerry Harvey Barnes, back to his best, 3 in his last 4, and again staying in the side tonight, and maybe just to keep that run of form going.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is a game where you're expecting Harvey to shine, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, his attitude from the off. and see if he can replicate that form. As you say, he's been in for the last 3 or 4 games, 5 games even.
A roar from the Blue Army as both sets of players take the knee. As a constant reminder, there is no room for racism or discrimination in the game we love, the game of football. And it's Leicester all in blue that will get us underway this evening. They kick from right to left as we look towards the family stands.